Welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of Screenplay Rewind. I'm Jeff,
I'm Ron.
and good God, is it nice to get the taste of Temple of Doom out of my fucking mouth. What are we covering this week, Ron?
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom 2.
Oh, no. Short Round's Revenge.
The little known sequel.
Oh, that would actually be cool. So, what the fucking
It just stars Willie.
fan fiction
it just
I want?
stars Willie. There's no Indiana Jones in it.
No, fuck that. Fuck that. The fan fiction I'm going to write, like, starting tonight. So, in between the timeline, after Temple of Doom and before Raiders, Indy thinks he's gotten Short Round killed by irresponsibly bringing him along on all of his adventures. Short Round did not get killed. He was just horribly mangled. And then it is like 30 years later in Short Round's revenge. It's taken him 30 years to figure out the perfect way to kill Indy.
Wow,
Yes.
this took a turn.
Yeah. I'd be all about it,
Getting
dude.
the original
All
actor
about
back.
it. Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
It's like
Badass.
what's the was it Mayhem? Is that the name of the movie? Is it like that but against Indiana Jones?
Yeah, pretty much.
Uh-huh.
Hold on to your potatoes, Dr. Jones. Oh, this movie's so good.
Have we said what it is yet?
I mean, I think didn't you? I mean, people listening to this, you've seen the title, so
So it's really on you at this point,
yeah,
dear listener.
yeah. It's if you can't, I mean, if Short Round's Revenge existed, I would watch it day one and review it, of course.
You know what I'm gonna log in and change the title of this episode to, right?
Indiana Jones and the Crucible of Short Round. Oh god.
Indiana Jones
Oh.
and the Last fucking Crusade.
Yes, bitch.
Oh, this is
Movie's
my
so good.
favorite of the series. I think Raiders is a extremely close second.
See, I feel the same way, just the opposite. Like,
Right.
Raiders is my favorite, and I think Raiders is the best. But Last Crusade, it's like picking children. Like, I love it so much, and it's right up there. I think Raiders edges it out by just a hair, but fuck, it's close because Last Crusade is amazing. This movie fucking rules, dude.
Raiders may have a slightly more like solid script or whatever, but Last Crusade is the one that I watched religiously with my dad, and to me, this is Indiana Jones. Raiders, I don't know how to say this. It is probably a little bit more serious than I think of Indiana Jones. I think it's more serious than Temple of Doom. Even because Temple of Doom, whereas Last Crusade has a bunch of gags, right? Temple of Doom is just silly, like story-wise and plot-wise and the things that happen to the characters. Raiders, it's got humor, right, obviously, but it's a really solid action-adventure film, but it's not really, like, goofy. It's got a couple of moments, but it's not really goofy. And Last Crusade is a really solid movie with a lot more comedy interwoven into it.
Yeah, I think Raiders is a better constructed movie, and I think Last Crusade is a more fun movie. So Last Crusade, it feels like it's like 30 minutes long, and it's just so well paced and
And there's nothing wrong
Great-
with that because at a certain
great set
point,
pieces.
it's gonna be, well, I've seen this before, so they got to change stuff up somehow. You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
So it
but-
works.
Yeah, but let's just break down the cast and crew real quick before we dive in. Per usual, directed by drumroll Steven Spielberg.
I had no idea.
Gasp. Yeah, I will be bringing back Spielberg to direct Short Round's Revenge.
Oh,
Everyone, fret
still
not.
the Jurassic Park font. All
Yeah.
three movies.
This is off of a story written by he who shall not be named, fucking George Lucas. Minnow Mayhes. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm
Valiant
so
try.
sorry.
Mayes. I'm gonna go with Mayes.
I sincerely apologize. Off of a screenplay by Jeffrey Boehm. Your cast and crew. You've got drumroll again, Harrison Ford.
I was not aware they got him back.
Yeah, it was. They got it like the 11th hour. Just brought him back right at the end.
The dude's like 80 years old and still doing it.
He just happened to be crashing one of his planes near the set. He's like, well, I guess I'll film this third Indiana Jones movie.
The way he accepted the job was he crashed his plane into the golf course where Steven Spielberg was golfing.
Oh, God. Harrison Ford, you fucking nut. Sean Connery. It may be my favorite Sean Connery performance.
Absolutely.
I fucking love him in this movie.
I said the same thing to Chris.
Fucking, like, his most iconic role is probably Bond, but fuck, I love him in this movie so much.
Which is ironic because I feel like Walter Donovan is basically a James Bond villain.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Denholm Elliott is back as Marcus Brody. I'm glad they figured out a way to have Brody and John Rhys-Davies back as Solomore and actually kind of like figure back into the plot, because this was supposed to be like, you know, them running off into the sunset. This was supposed to be the send off before, you know, corporate culture took over and, you know, Lucasfilm wanted more money, and then, you know, Shia LaBeouf happens, and you know,
and I'm so glad that Brody is such a solid character in Raiders, and he's barely in it, right? Like. You latch on to him just from their friendship, from them talking to the feds or whoever they are. I guess we don't actually know who they were. We just know they were government.
And they have top men.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, just the short moments you spend with him, the little speech that he gives Indiana before he sets out for the Ark. And then you're just kind of done with him. And it's kind of sad because in those few moments, Denholm Elliott just endears himself to you. You know,
yeah, he's great.
Want more of him. And then, we got him peppered throughout an entire movie this time. He goes on his own little adventure. That's the fanfic I want. The Adventures of Denholm Elliott in his own museum.
Dude, there's so many fucking running jokes in the movie that are just gold, but we'll get to it. And I'm so glad this movie happened when it did, because we talked about it a little bit in the green room, but Denholm Elliott sadly passed away a couple of years later. So this movie happened just soon enough, because this movie actually took a few years to get made. Thank God, because, and I found this out just kind of doing like a little bit of research. Spielberg was the one to actually slow down the production turnaround time, because, and I think from what I'm reading here and what I've been seeing, I think I was correct in assuming that Spielberg was not happy with the way Temple of Doom worked out.
Right.
Because this movie, Spielberg chose to tone down the dark tone and graphic violence in the next installment, being Last Crusade. It took 5 years between the productions of Temple of Doom and Last Crusade because he and Lucas were reviewing several scripts before Spielberg would actually accept one. So they were actually, you know, not just, you know, signing up George Lucas's asshole fucking talentless friends, you know, to just throw together a fucking fortune cookie and screaming filled script that, you know, it's complete garbage, you know. But I'm definitely not still bitter about last week's episode. That would be absurd. Jeffrey Boehm was the screenplay, writer for it. He'd done a few things. He wrote a couple of the Lethal Weapon sequels. He wasn't a nobody. You know, he had turned in some pretty successful projects. I think he had also written like The Lost Boys. So he had a few, somewhat heavy hitters under his belt. And I think the script for this, I think they chose wisely.
Can I deviate for a second? You mentioned Lethal Weapon, and didn't Richard Donner direct all 4 of those movies? What made me?
I do not know.
Well, I know he did at least the first one, but I was just thinking I was sad to hear he passed away since the last time we got together to record. I almost feel like we can't go on without mentioning that first, because
it's a real bummer.
Everybody's first superhero movie, man. Come on.
Yep.
You know,
Sucks.
He introduced multiple generations to the idea of a superhero.
Yeah, it's fucking.
But I mean, he was 91.
Always,
and I was from I believe it wasn't like coronavirus or anything. I didn't actually hear how he passed, which usually is a sign that it's natural causes.
Yeah,
but,
giant fucking bucket of wind.
Yeah,
that's
sorry to derail to a totally different topic, but you said Lethal Weapon and it popped into my head.
No, it's totally fine. Moving on with like the rest of the cast, rounding it out, we have Julian Glover playing Walter Donovan. He's essentially, like you said earlier, a Bond villain. I think he's a pretty good villain. The villain is not the focal point of this movie.
Right.
The focal point is obviously Sean Connery, Harrison Ford's relationship and lack thereof early on in the film, and the way that they kind of wove this to be a send-off for the characters while also kind of elaborating further on like what makes Indiana Jones tick. And a big reason for that is because of the opening sequence that we'll get to. River Phoenix, who tragically passed away in his early 20s to a drug overdose. I think he's great as young Indy. I really like his scenes.
He is amazing as Indy. I think he passed away about 4 years after this movie was released.
23 years old. What a fucking
I had
dude.
always heard that this was going to lead into him being young Indiana Jones. Did he do young Indiana Jones? That was a different actor, right?
I think it was a different actor.
Yeah. I had always heard that he was going to be introduced here and then like spin off into the adventures of young Indiana Jones.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've always heard.
If that had turned out to be a thing, I would have watched the fuck out of that because I think he's great. Especially that scene where, he does the line, like, oh, I'll come up with something.
You're right.
I'll figure it out. Yeah. The way he delivers it, the look on his face is a chef's kiss of a fucking line read, dude. It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely
it's
perfect.
So fucking good. Love it. Michael Byrne plays Vogel, and let's see if I'm... Oh, yeah, Allison Duty plays...
Say it again.
I said Duty. God, I would... Really surprising that she didn't change her last name, because a lot of actors and actresses, even when they don't have last names like Duty, they change their name.
Right.
So maybe you missed opportunity there, but I it's crazy to me how it's just crazy how it works out, like when you have a character who can be a love interest while also having, I don't know, like motivations and, ways to further the plot outside of just screaming. Who would have fucking thought that writing your female lead can, turn out to be a better movie? I don't know.
Yeah, I plan to go into a full character breakdown on Elsa and why we should just say fuck Willie Scott, man.
Yeah, a fucking min, brother.
Which, by the way, she's aptly named because she looks a lot like Disney's Elsa if she was real.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of rounding out the cast and crew. I don't even know. Do you want to begin with the opening?
Let's talk about the opening because, man, okay, we talked a lot in Raiders about how that movie just hits the ground running, and it doesn't even explain any of the characters. It just gives you everything you need to know about the characters as you go along, or allows you to infer stuff about the characters. What a way to do an origin story. And it's only about, 10 minutes of the movie?
And I fucking love how
love it.
They don't let you know initially. They could have had the year pop up and date it, but you don't know that it's the origin yet. Like, that must have been fucking like, man, I wish I could have been old enough to have seen this in the theater, because if they were able to keep this opening a secret, and the internet didn't exist back then. So yeah, I mean, it's just probably all over the fucking trailer. But because even at first, they don't even really show River Phoenix yet. Like, it's River Phoenix.
The way they do
is
it,
part of the reveal.
Well, the way they do it is genius, because you're just following these kids you know nothing about, and you think they've stumbled upon Indiana Jones until he turns around and it's Fedora.
Yeah,
is apparently his character's name.
Funny. I think they call the guy who had hired him like Panama Hat Man or something like that. It's a lot of hat
Panama
names
Hat.
in the script.
But Panama Hat actually sounds like an actual gangster name, so I got to give him that one.
Yeah, he has a cool kind of gangster look to him. I dig it. But fucking Christ, this opening, dude. I think Raiders might have like the most iconic opening to a film ever. So you think of like just how iconic him, throw me the idol, I'll throw you the whip, the giant boulder, him, exchanging the statue out. It's just so iconic. But this is up there too. This is so fucking
But once
perfect.
again, yeah, we're seeing Indiana's like his origin more or less. We're seeing like his moment of destiny. Because if this had happened to any other kid, there would have been no Indiana Jones, right? He happened to be in the right place at the right time, spying on the correct thing, and just happened his father is who he is. So this is like his moment of destiny where he becomes Indiana Jones. But think about it. We're talking about a character origin story put in front of another movie, put in front of this movie, right? But think about all the shit that we still don't know. Like, they've still trimmed all the fat down and still just kept it nice and simple and succinct. And you're just getting just a little snippet of the character, just the moment of destiny that ends up creating Indiana Jones. You don't get any, they refer to his mother and everything else, but we don't talk about any of it.
Yeah.
Like, the self-control that these writers are exercising.
Right. It's
because it keeps
so
him a
good.
myth, right? So yeah,
and they have these really, I mean, obviously you're invested in along for the ride, but the thing about him being perfectly okay with picking up the snake,
yeah,
because once that happens, you're like, oh god, something terrible is going to happen, and it does. And I'm still, my skin is still crawling to this very day. After,
that's just all the snakes in your shirt. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay, dude, fucking Christ, that's not okay. He's just like finding snakes like 10 minutes later. Like, I want to take a shower just thinking about it, dude.
But he is a little distracted. They are trying to fucking knife a boy.
Dude, give me the knife. Just just end it. I can't handle snakes being on or around my body, dude. Okay, I can't.
Like, seriously,
Can't.
Fucking, god damn it, Ed Sheeran tried to knife Indiana Jones several times on top of the train. He's like the only person I can think of that drew a weapon against him.
Yeah, he's trying to just fucking execute this kid.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of fucked up.
They're like, what the fuck? Even the gangster's just like, get him. He's not yelling, kill him. And then, like, Ed Sheeran on top of this train has a knife.
Just goes psycho.
Yeah.
I love how he's about to have this little badass moment of, you know, going to jump on the horse, and the horse moves out of the way like at the last second, you know, just showing that he has the right idea, but also, he's just not there yet.
Reminding you that, no, this is still an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah,
right?
And also reminding you, you know, just how so often his thing that makes him him is his improvisational skills, and you see like that like in play here throughout the opening too, and that's kind of developing. Like, yeah, the thing with the whip, the fucking dude, the idea of him using the whip for the very first time is the thing that caused Harrison Ford's IRL scar.
Right.
Whoever thought that up did not get paid enough for working on this film. I don't know who did that, but bless you, because that's just so cool.
Yeah, that is absolutely genius. Can we talk about Fedora? Because this little intro made me want a Fedora movie, dude. Like,
you lost today, kid, but doesn't mean you have to like it. What a line!
Dude, that sums up Indiana Jones in a nutshell.
It's
that
so
one line.
good. It's so good, and it also it made me immediately think to what would end up becoming his kind of adversarial relationship with Belloc.
Yeah.
You know, he was constantly losing today and not liking it, and it would keep him driving forward. Or no matter how many times he lost to Belloc, you know, he kept on going.
Right, and then when he escapes on the train, that's that lingering shot of Fedora as the smile starts coming across his face, because he's seeing himself in that kid that's running away from him with the cross of Coronado.
I fucking adore it.
And I inferred all of that from a moment of a camera lingering on a dude with no lines because of the way this thing is shot and the way the actors are portraying it. This is an art form that is fucking lost today, dude.
It's so good.
It's so
unbelievably good.
Restraint, guys.
I love the transition too, where they transition out of the opening where, you know, he puts the hat down.
Yes.
And then he immediately cuts to them on the freighter.
The hat. Oh, I'm sorry.
Why do you have to go on road? I'm canceling Screenplay Rewind. This is Screenplay
We're
Eject.
We're going to talk about it next week. Come on.
Fine.
Because I assume you remember that's a callback to this moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, I love that Panama Hat is still wearing the exact same fucking suit from like 30 years
I don't
ago.
think he ever, yeah, I think the water going over the sides of the boat is probably the first time that suit's been washed in the 20 years or whatever it's been.
Well, once again, like we talked about in the last two episodes, we're harkening back to the old serials, right? Which a lot of times were in black and white. The characters' clothes a lot of times are the way you identify characters or archetypes, and Indiana Jones is basically a live-action cartoon, right? Like everybody
essentially
is always wearing the same costume all the time. Indy has two outfits, his Bruce Wayne and his Batman, right? He's got that one, just the one suit in his closet, apparently, and the rest of his closet is fedoras and leather jackets and whips.
Right.
That made him sound a lot kinkier than I meant to. And Panama Hat apparently has a closet full of these white suits with these red roses.
Yep.
But yeah.
And all he wears to bed is the Cross of Coronado. I also love that as the ship's sinking,
the Coronado.
It's the Coronado. Like, that's such a cool touch.
So, like, in a way, the thing that is being signaled here about Panama Hat is the dude's a fucking fan of, like, Coronado. Like, he's not trying to get rich off of this cross. He wants it for himself, for his Collection. Like, the dude has a ship named the Coronado.
But Ron,
he's stolen his cross back twice from Indiana
But Ron,
Jones.
it belongs in a museum, bro.
I cannot believe how famous that line is. And I didn't even remember until we started doing this series that this is the one and only time it's ever said.
I would have bet my life that it happened in Raiders. I could not believe that I'd forgotten that too.
I knew it. I knew it happened in Last Crusade, but I would have bet money it happened in Raiders first.
Yeah, 1000%.
Yeah,
because that's like the first thing I always fucking say. Like,
and it's the thing everybody
it belongs in the museum.
Yeah,
it's a great line, and yeah, it's again.
So, the thing I've never understood though is what does Panama Hat mean by "so do you" when he's clearly much older than Indiana Jones.
I think they're just trying to insinuate, and I think they actually a little bit with the makeup too. Like they're trying to kind of continue that idea. If you remember in Raiders, where Marion talks about how he's looking older, and he says it's not the years, it's the mileage. They go out of their way, I think, in this movie too, with just like the way that they represent even little things. If you remember in Temple of Doom, they could not wait to get Harrison Ford's shirt off to show how like ripped he was. They never do that here.
Nope.
Even in like even in like the lead up to the love scene, he's in a fucking bathrobe. Yeah. You know, it's a very subdued take on him, and I think they're showing that he's reaching what like what you would.
He's haggard,
obviously
he's raggedy.
Yeah, it's a much.
Yeah, he's all used up basically.
Yeah, and he's he's winding down towards what you would think would be, obviously we know like Crystal Skull in this fifth movie year.
So at this point, he's probably older than Panama Hat.
Yeah.
Figuratively speaking. Elsa even has a comment about that because she says he's got his father's eyes. He says his mother's ears, and she said that's the only thing to comment on or something. She has because she says that, and she says it seems like the best things have already been claimed spoken for. Yeah. So she even has a dig about it.
Yeah, I mean he's still Harrison Ford. What's really funny is I went back and did the math. Sean Connery is only 12 years older than Harrison Ford in this movie.
I thought,
which is kind of crazy to think about.
I had always heard that Harrison Ford was older than Sean Connery.
No, Harrison Ford is not older than Sean Connery, but the difference doesn't make up enough for him to be.
One more year, and he could theoretically be his dad.
This just took a turn. I mean, Sean Connery's a fucking player, man, but I'm just saying it's a little bit kinky for my taste. But
closet full of whips, Jeff.
That's fair. That's also fair. I don't even know where to transition to now, because like this is a movie I could literally just sit down and do a commentary on. Like, you know, there's just so much going on. It's so jam packed with one liners, with you know, like with the way that the characters are selected to be brought back. You know, you get a lot of good shit with Sala later.
Well, let's start talking about the characters then, because Elsa, I have a lot to say about Elsa after Temple of Doom.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk Elsa. I think Elsa is a very underrated character in this franchise. I think she's actually really.
Too. I think she's an underrated actress too, by the way.
Yeah, I thought she was good in this, and I can't think of a single other thing I'd ever really seen her in. Sadly,
apparently she's in A View to a Kill, which I've never seen.
I might have seen it, but if I did,
which I think came out before. So that might be why she landed this role.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But okay, so what do we know about Elsa from the minute that we meet her? Right, obviously she's hot. Right, she's like the picture of the Aryan race, which that comes into play later.
You're right.
She
and in Indiana, she's so hot. Indy is even like going
away.
Full. Because like usually Indy,
he's speechless the moment he realizes that the doctor they're looking for is a woman.
Yeah, he's immediately trying to fucking
steals the rose and everything.
He's immediately trying to score the idol, and
throw me the whip.
He's trying everything he can to get in this girl's pants, and that's not usually like him, because usually he's more subdued about it.
He's really not that much of a charmer, right? Like that's not his MO. He's trying so hard and failing.
He even steals a fucking flower as they're walking. He's known her for like 5 minutes, and he stole a flower. He's trying his damnedest to get in her pants, which is just showing how much of a goddess she is.
Right. But yeah, so she's hot. She's a doctor, presumably of archaeology, given all the knowledge and information she has. She displays that knowledge openly whenever they find things in the catacombs. And the instant they discover the catacombs, the first thing she says is lower me down, and she's the first one in. All of this makes so much more sense than fucking Willie Scott in Temple of Doom, which he shares no interest in and is not even the type of woman that this type of character would be interested in.
It's so
But yet we're supposed to believe that there's chemistry between them, and like
the real reaction Indiana Jones would have had to Willie Scott was leaving her fucking behind at the club.
He didn't need her. Why would she have ever made it out of the club? Right? And then look at Elsa. This is how you fucking do this.
And she has character motivations that play into the plot later.
Not only does she have motivations, she has her own fucking agenda.
She is willing to do things that a villain would do, but she's not inherently evil. She's just really fucking engaged by archaeology.
The wrong side of the chessboard.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
She has aligned herself with the Nazis, not because she, at one point she even says, she's there for the Grail, not for the swastika. She wants nothing to do.
They've got the power and the resources to find it.
Yeah.
So she has aligned herself with them. And they're likely to find it, because this is kind of in the age where what Hitler wants, Hitler gets.
And Hitler was all about the occult. And of course, the thing he would want more than anything is the thing that can make him immortal.
The Holy Grail of all the occult items is literally the Holy Grail.
It is even more important to Hitler than the Ark of the Covenant, because Hitler would want to be immortal more than literally anything.
Yep.
And yeah, it's the way that she plays heavily into them being able to walk away alive in the third act, because she turns on the Nazi dude as soon as she fucking can.
Yeah.
Or not the Nazi dude, but was it Donovan? Yeah, Donovan.
Mm-hmm. First chance she gets. And yeah, I was gonna bring that up too when we talk about that near the end, because the only two people on this planet that probably, and I'm saying probably because Indiana, but the only two people on the planet that probably know more about the Grail than her is going to be Indiana and Henry. And Of course, he's gonna trust her when she says, "Try this cup." Because he doesn't really know where to start. This is her obsession, much like Henry's. So he's gonna trust her word. She's been playing on his side this whole time. And dude, that smile she has when she gives it to him, and as soon as he turns around, and that smile just fades away instantly, and you're just like, "Oh shit!" And then, as he's dipping it in the water, that look she gives Indiana, and he's looking at her like, "What did you just do?"
And it makes sense too, because Donovan is so close to the finish line. Like, he's in the room with it, and he's just kind of willing to buy it because it's almost like a manifest destiny thing for him.
He even has the line, the cup of the King of Kings or whatever. And like I was telling Christina, when we were finishing it, like, where he's looking at this the wrong way that is more or less a nickname. He's not a monarch. Like, he's a fucking carpenter. He's not gonna have money. He's gonna be super poor. He's got nothing. Why would he have a fucking golden cup? And when you take King of Kings literally as the third most foremost person on the Holy Grail hands you a cup, you're gonna drink it.
Yeah, and he just thinks that he's also outsmarted them so many times. He thinks he's smarter than everyone else. He just
so far he has been.
Yeah, because he would fucking, if he hadn't immediately gone for what he thought was the Grail, he would have won. Like, it's a running thing of how Harrison Ford's character in almost all these fucking movies loses and has to get bailed out by these supernatural elements towards the end, and other characters, not being able to stop themselves from crossing the line of too far into their own hubris. It's a running theme of all the movies. And essentially,
I was going to transition into to Donovan, but also the last thing on Elsa is the first thing she says after Donovan's dead is, "It won't be made of gold."
Yeah. God, this movie's so good.
So I mean, she didn't just randomly choose. The one thing she knew for sure is it's not going to be made out of gold, and she hands him the brightest, shiniest, goldiest cup that she could possibly hand him. Yeah,
it's the most audacious one on. There's like 200 cups in there, and that motherfucking Grail glows in the dark. It's so gold.
Oh my god! But Donovan, dude, he's one of my favorite type of villains. Right? I love a villain who. My favorite type of villain is basically one that is kind of thinking that they are the good guy, right? Like Magneto, right? Like. What he's trying to do is not wrong. He's going about it the wrong way. And then Donovan is like probably my second or third favorite type of villain, where he's literally on a crusade, Jeff. Like, he's doing anything and everything he can to get this thing. He's got this like self-righteousness about him. He doesn't really care about wrong or right. He just knows that he wants a thing. He's got a means to get it. And he's not evil necessarily, maybe a sociopath, but he's not necessarily evil. Like, he's got a I'm losing the word. The word coming to mind is not the right one. Not an agenda, but he's got like a not a code, but a thing that he's got like an aspiration, and he doesn't really care how he gets to it. It's not the word I'm looking for either. It's the closest thing I can think of.
Agenda?
It's not agenda. He's got like a. It's almost like it's like morally right for him to have the Grail. Like the attitude that he has.
Entitlement?
Yeah, he's got this sense of entitlement about him, where, anything and everything to get the Grail, and that's really just kind of his shtick. Like, he's not setting out to murder people. He's not setting out for worldwide domination or destruction. He's setting out for a prize, right? It's a thing that he wants, and he's got the means to get it. And you're just in his way. That's unfortunate, right? Like, that's
yeah.
That's the thing.
And his in game also ties in a lot with like the way like Belloc was, which always
I was
works.
gonna say he's kind of like he's like a more sociopathic Belloc. Like
yeah, because like both Belloc and Donovan, if they were evil, they would be alongside the Nazis and trying to put these, holy objects in the place of power where they can, cause mass harm. They don't really want that.
And Belloc was a piece of shit, but he was empathetic also. Whereas fucking Donovan has like zero emotion. It's just if you're in his way, you're a stumbling block.
Yeah, he just wants to live forever. That's his only.
He's got the same drive that Henry has, but for different reasons.
Yeah, and the way that ties in with Henry's kind of like final turnaround at the end is so great.
You know what just occurred to me? You know what just occurred to me? In Raiders, we had the juxtaposition between Belloc and Indiana. In Crusade, we had the juxtaposition between Henry and Donovan.
Yeah, it's true.
If you really think about it, they gave Henry his own Belloc, but it's Indiana fighting him.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'd never thought about that really until just now.
And because it's all subtext.
Yeah.
It's not beating you over the fucking skull
Hashtag
with
restraint.
its themes. Like Temple of Doom had no self-control, and you end up with, it's just bad writing. We have to talk about my favorite aspect of this movie is Harrison Ford and Sean Connery. I think they're so fucking like everything they say to one another is just gold. Every delivery on every joke is perfect. When they need to have like real pathos,
Sean Connery's facial expressions alone,
and Harrison Ford's like you feel every ounce.
There's this
of pathos.
mythical hero that is Indiana Jones in your mind. And anytime he's talking to his father, he's like a 12-year-old that's like looking at the ground or kicking a rock or whatever.
Can't help but call him sir.
Call him sir.
He's just constantly trying to like kind of prove himself, and he has proven himself. Like Indiana Jones, he's a complete badass, and like he's so proud of himself as he's doing all these amazing feats in front of his dad. And I like when they're riding on the motorcycle together, and he's in the sidecar, and Sean Connery just couldn't be more bored by all of this amazing shit that Indy's doing right next to him. It's great.
Oh my god, dude. Everything about from the moment we see them together is just a fucking joy. That first time we see them together and the three Nazis walk in and Dr. Jones and they both go, yes. From there, it's just unadulterated fun.
Well, the very first thing he does that I absolutely love that sums up his relationship with him.
About his head.
Yeah. Once he hits him with the vase, and Sean Connery is immediately just saddened, not by the fact that he just almost killed his own son, but he thinks he's destroyed this priceless like 500-year-old vase or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, thank God, it's a fake." It's so good.
I love how Indiana keeps waiting for his dad to get sentimental on him, because there's that moment. There's the moment when he first rescues him, thinks that he's going to get something, from his dad, some sort of emotional response. And we talk about the vase. And then getting hit over the head, we don't get an emotional response from Henry there. Then when they're tied up back to back, there's something I need to tell you. Don't get sentimental on me now, Dad. The floor is on fire. The first assumption is because he's constantly waiting for it. And it doesn't happen until he thinks he went over the cliff with the tank.
I fucking love how they consistently keep fucking up, and it's not just one-sided with Indiana.
Yeah.
Henry also is constantly fucking up, like with the fire, and he almost always hides it when he can, like when he shoots the...
Dad, are we hit? More or less. I'm sorry, son. They got us.
I fucking... Because it's so wonderful, too, because you see exactly where Indy gets it all, he's such a...
Including, all of his, thinking on the fly, right? because there's that moment with the birds. He's like, suddenly I remember my Charlemagne.
Tactical seagulls, dude. Tactical seagulls is the best.
Okay, it's hokey, but one of my favorite things in this movie is still the dude in the plane. His expression as he slides past them in the car.
That scene is so dumb, but I love it. It's so over the top that it's amazing.
Dude, he goes perfectly through the tunnel and leaves his wings on either side of the mountain like a cartoon. And he slides.
Also, by the way, that's the most dedicated fucking Nazi in the history of Nazis. As that man just gives zero fucks. He's full sending it through that fucking car tunnel thing, dude.
They're looking at each other, but the look he's giving them is like, it's like, this is so surreal for him. And then he just fucking explodes. And because he's in a tunnel, he can't, like, bail out. Like, what can he do?
Yeah, and he was 5 days from Nazi retirement. It's a real shame.
Oh my God.
So the fucking the fireplace thing.
My God.
First of all, it's incredibly ingenious of him to think to go into the fireplace in the first place.
Right.
You know, because obviously the smoke will escape and you don't die from the fucking smoke.
And it's designed to, not combust.
Exactly. Because that's something that is so basic and so common sense. I would never in a million years think about it myself. You know, it's just one of those things. Well, of fucking course, but he's really good in, and like one way that they're kind of different is that we haven't really talked about is that Indiana Jones probably almost intentionally to differentiate himself from his dad. You know, just by also like henceforth taking Indiana as his name in the first place and not being Junior. You know, but being a guy who likes to actually be in the field. Because the first thing that makes him concerned about wanting to go on this adventure in the first place is obviously he's interested in potentially finding the Holy Grail, but he's concerned about his dad being in the field because his dad is just book smart. He's not street smart like Indiana Jones is. Indiana Jones is both incredibly intelligent and a complete badass, and his dad, ends up having moments, but at this point, he's never really put himself in a position to be a badass because he's just always been a book smart guy, not one to go on the adventure.
We have a line in the classroom where he says 70% of archaeology isn't done in a library. And then we immediately get to his office at the school in the boiler room. And he sits down and then immediately cuts to him crawling out the window because he just can't fucking take being in his office, even though he's surrounded by relics and artifacts. And the other thing that I noticed, mainly because I've never sat down and thought about it, this is probably obvious to everyone listening, but like his dad has this obsession with a single artifact that he's probably, in all likelihood, never going to find in his lifetime, right? It's been missing for 2,000 years. And Indiana has this obsession with basically being a smuggler. Like, he goes and gets his hands on any relic he can as fast as he can and gets it out. So he's like the exact opposite. His dad is philosophically basically obsessed with the Holy Grail more than anything, because I'm sure even Henry knows he's probably not going to find it, but he's trying his damnedest. And whereas Indiana is going for whatever he can actually touch. He has to be able to touch whatever it is he's pursuing.
And he's just a thrill junkie.
Yeah.
He loves it. I when they I love too the fucking Scooby-Doo booby traps in the Nazi castle.
Yes.
Should be so dumb, but it totally works because they're freaking Nazis.
Yep.
The Nazis were obviously they were fucking evil bastards, but they were also just fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yep.
Where I bet you $1 million all of their strongholds had these Scooby-Doo fucking secret rooms and weird ass chair levers, and I can totally believe it. And this movie just walks that tightrope in between being silly and too silly, like perfectly all the time.
It's the tone of the movie, right? Raiders does it too. It's got some silliness, but again, it walks that line. Temple of Doom is about human sacrifice and ripping out, beating people's hearts, and hold on to your potatoes, right? Like that's one issue with Temple of Doom.
It's all over the place.
That tonally it is everywhere. Whereas
it is everywhere and nowhere.
The characters are a little more cartoonish in this one, so the movie can now be allowed to be a little bit more cartoonish. And again, just knowing where the line is, so you can straddle the line and never cross it. You know, never jump Bruce the Shark. But my favorite thing is the fucking fireplace though in that castle, because that is a trope that I think is used the absolute best it can possibly ever be used in this movie.
Our situation is not improved.
This is intolerable.
I love that he says that like 7 times throughout the movie, and I laugh every single time because it's such a great fitting catchphrase for him.
Oh my god!
And dude, when they keep twisting around and it eventually stops, and then the Nazi chick smiles back at them and just alarm!
Yeah. And then I love Henry gets trapped on the side of the Nazis, and when it spins around, an unconscious Nazi drops, and it spins around again, and there's like nobody. Because like Indy grabbed his dad. The
physical comedy in this is just next level.
Speaking of physical comedy, we revisit an Indiana Jones trope on the blimp. Mm-hmm. He gets a uniform that doesn't fit him.
And no ticket.
There's no one bigger to beat up to get their uniform, so he's just in this comically, like all the buttons are stretched and the sleeves are super short.
One of the best fucking jokes in the entire movie to me is after he throws him out the window of the Zeppelin and he says, no ticket. And everyone in the room scrambles to find and present their ticket to him. I love that. They're like, the whole room is just freaking the fuck out.
But he does all of this to sneak up behind the guy and cold cock him, which he could have done dressed as Indiana Jones.
he just fucking loves exchanging clothes, dude. He's the exact opposite of Panama Hat. Indiana Jones can't fucking wait to change his outfit.
Panama Hat sleeps, showers, and fucks in that suit, dude.
Oh. Panama Hat. Short Round's second in Short Round's revenge. It is also Panama Hat's revenge. Panama Hat did not die. And now he is back for revenge because he fucked up his one Panama Hat suit.
Can we talk about another trope from like old like adventure stories and novels and stuff that's used a lot?
What's up?
I think my favorite use of a character dressing up in a disguise is when he comes in to look at the tapestries. And like the dude is having none of it. The dude is just having none of it, and he just cold cocks him, which again he could have done from the very beginning.
Harrison Ford's like,
it's not bad, by the way.
It's not that bad, but it's also just so over the top of a caricature that I fucking adore that scene, dude. It's so funny.
But like, he's like, I don't know, I'll think of something, and then he looks up at her hat, and she like puts her hand on her hat, like, what? And it's literally her in his clothes, and then him with like draped in like a blanket or something, and have the hat on, and he like sneezes in the dude's face. Oh, I've gone and caught the sniffle. Like,
it's so good.
And the dude is just like if you're from wherever, then I'm Mickey Mouse, and then he cold cocks him and just moves on.
Yeah, if you take a drink, every time Indiana Jones A changes outfits for no reason, and then B just ends that scene by punching somebody or knocking them out in any way, you will die by the second act.
How many times have you ever seen anything from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, them dressing up in a disguise and always pulling it off without a hitch or whatever, or like knocking someone out and taking their clothes, and we keep revisiting all these tropes from this time period, and they just never work, but he keeps trying them.
Also, I think a big reason behind why this, like, the viewer is able to accept all of the silliness and it never feels out of place is because like the writer is smart enough to understand that what makes you invested in these characters in the first place is the fact that they're actually like fleshed out characters. They're like we talked about previously, especially with Raiders, in how they're based on archetypes, but this is like expanding upon the old serial archetypes. These are all actual characters. And man, dude, like when this movie wants to be emotional, it can be very emotional. Like I love the scene after Tactical Seagulls happens and they just all they do to end the scene is just show Harrison's reaction to it, and it's John Williams' beautiful score. And between that music and just this lingering shot in Harrison Ford's face, it says 1,000 words, and it just shows you how in that moment Harrison Ford is just like seeing how much he's like his dad, and it's like he had never really
thought about it before.
He'd never really considered it as like for a nanosecond how alike he and his dad are, and that's all subtext, and it's all just in music and in reaction, and that's great character work.
There's a moment later that you don't even realize you're building up to, because when the first time you see it, it's played for comedy. The next time you see it, it's a big character moment for Henry. But I love when Indiana takes the MP40, mows down the 3 Nazis, and he's just like, "What have you done? I can't believe what you did," and all that, and he's freaking out. And then later in the tank, when Henry blows the fuck out of the car, and Marcus is like, "What did you just do? I can't believe what you just did." And he's like, "It's war, Marcus." Like, yeah.
And in those moments too, it goes both ways. Like he's realizing that so much of this kind of like roguish character that his son has become, he is that too. He just always chose not to be. He always chose to remain in the library when his son was intentionally, I think, going the opposite direction just to continue to differentiate himself from his dad.
But yeah, at the same time, we get Henry becoming more like Indiana. And then as we're going through the 3 or 4 different tests to get the Grail at the end, he has to become more like his father. And now it's he can't punch his way through the saw blades and everything else, or, whip his way through them. He has to stop and think more like he's sitting in a library to try to figure this shit out, because literally his life and the life of his father and his friends all depend on it.
Also, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that someone getting shot in the stomach and not immediately dying is actually like a plot point in this movie.
That was my first thought when I saw it happen.
How many times does someone just get shot in the fucking stomach and they're dead in like 7 seconds? And it pisses me off every time, because like we're not fucking idiots. Everyone knows that's some bullshit. It takes a while to die if you've been shot in the stomach. And I love that that's actually part of the fucking like climax of the movie. In this fucking ridiculous fucking movie where the Nazi guy full sends down that tunnel without giving a fuck, and all this Harrison Ford with the Scottish accent, like all these over the top scenes, you still have I love it. It's like
reality.
Yeah.
Modicum of Reality, also a good name for a podcast.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, no, the moment I saw him get shot and then spend the rest of the movie lying there, I was like, Geoff is so happy right now.
You know the excellent frog where he has his hands together and he's just, he's got that smile on his face. That's me. I'm just like, yeah, somebody gets me. Somebody gets me.
Did I finally convince you to watch Bleach? If I told you someone gets stabbed in the stomach with a sword for like 2 episodes and then survives it after they get healed?
Well, shit, that's all you had to say. I'll watch 4,000 episodes of anime if it has correct stomach physics. I mean, that's kind of my thing.
There's a modicum of reality in Bleach.
If so, does this mean if I can find one thing that has a bicycle not using the bicycle bell that you hate, will you immediately like that movie?
Fucking hell, dude. I'm pretty sure.
I hope you know that now every time the bicycle bell happens, I am also annoyed. Had I ever realized that was a trope until you said it? Fuck no. So fuck you.
I'm pretty sure they even do it in The Mouth of Madness.
I'm pretty sure that all of because we had that stupid idea to do movie tropes we hate, all of your tropes are now stuff that I recognize immediately, and vice versa. And it's kind of funny.
I've never thought about poker in a movie before. You?
Yeah, you're welcome.
But I still hold that your argument is valid everywhere except one instance, sir. It's complete bullshit.
What was that? Which one? What is it?
The everybody going all in, and you hate how everybody pushes everything they have into the center because that's not the way that works. It's exactly the way it works in Jessica Jones, and you're playing against the Purple Man. That's what he does to like 3 or 4 people.
I mean,
it's what he wanted. That's what they did. He doesn't care how the rules work. Rules don't apply to him.
I mean, it's got David Tennant involved, so it's fine.
And then he told the guy to chop down a wooden post with his head, and he just started slamming his head into the wooden post over and over.
I wanted that show to be good so bad. It still makes me sad to this day.
Yeah.
But yeah, stomach wounds and Texas Hold'em. All my favorite fucking movie tropes. There you go. How cool, by the way, is the optical illusion bridge?
Dude. Oh my god. That's one of my favorite things. And it's almost a joke now. But when I was a kid, that was mind-blowing. And the fact that I'm watching this on a Blu-ray disc, and it's in front of you. It's there. If you look hard enough, you can see it. But it's still pretty much fucking hidden.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Like, it is absolutely there. And then they reveal it to you, and you see it, and then when the camera pans back, it is so hard to see, even with the clarity at, like, 1080p. It's ridiculous to try to see it, but you can. You can see the edges of it.
Yeah.
It's so well done. But as a kid that grew up going to a lot of Christian schools where Latin was a required language, I fucking love the... Jehovah, but in the Latin alphabet it starts with an I. J, and then just punches right through. And the detail of that moment, because as he's dangling there and it shows that shot of his legs comically dangling above the ravine, you can see all of the support pillars for the correct answers in that shot in the foreground.
So good.
But Jehovah starts with an I. J. He's so like confident.
The editing is also so cool when it's cutting back between Indy working out the puzzles while Henry is also working out the puzzles, you know?
Yeah.
It's great.
It's so good.
The idea of being the Holy Grail Defender guy and being in that room for 700 years terrifies me, by the way. Could you imagine? I get fucking bored when I have video games and, I don't know, the internet and every
just
book I could ever want.
Of porn. Still bored.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine 700 years without Pornhub? Like, that is an existence that I just want no part of.
Dude, real quick, the thing that I made a mental note that I forgot and just remembered about the illusory bridge is... how helpless does Indy feel about the leap of faith concept? Just the one thing he doesn't have in his arsenal, right? He doesn't have faith in any of this. He doesn't really believe in any of this. He should, but his logical side of his brain just won't let him do it. And there's literally nothing there. There's nothing for him. It's a leap of faith. He has to believe. And literally his facial expression said, oh, fuck. And then he stood there for a minute. And he had to, like sit there and think about it with like his hand on his chest for a minute before he was finally ready to be like, okay, I think I'm believing hard enough. But like the one thing that he doesn't have in his arsenal that's been hammered home in all of the movies is faith, and it's literally the only option.
Yeah.
I love that is his nemesis in this movie more than anything, is that fucking bridge and trying to conjure up enough faith to take that step. Yeah.
And it's a cool parallel too with him deciding to close his own eyes and have Marion close her eyes at the end of Raiders.
Right.
It's that moment of truth where the scientist part of his brain, like you were saying, wants to refuse all of this supernatural mumbo jumbo, but at the end of the day, he can't deny some of the stuff that he's seen and some of the just crazy shit that he's experienced. That and like it's so cool too that like we mentioned like with with Henry being shot in the stomach, that having to do all of this on the time limit while your dad's dying,
right?
And just his ability to. He instantly fucks up with the Jehovah thing, but he's doing the best he can in limited fucking time with all the pressure in the world, trying to find the fucking Holy Grail, and
which has been lost for 2,000 years.
Just how he's able to do all the shit that he does under pressure is
under pressure.
It's the best. I love this character so much.
Oh my god.
When the shit hits the fan,
when the Donovan hits the fan.
Well, the effect on him ventures into Beetlejuice territory a little bit for me, where I don't 1,000% love the effect on him, but I don't care. I mean, it's kind of fucking ridiculous, but the movie's ridiculous, so I buy it and it's fine. Like I don't
imagine what that looked like in 1989. Like I was 4. Like,
I personally like the face melting of Raiders better. I think those are better effects than this, because this just reminds me, like when their faces change in Beetlejuice, that's just what I think of when I see the scene. So it doesn't 1,000% work for me, but I still, love everything about the ending.
Also, I love the idea that one cup gives you eternal youth. All of the others rapidly age you into dust.
Yeah. You know what? You want to know what's in all of the other cups? It's a film cell for the Temple of Doom. That's all it takes.
That's however many frames there are in that movie. That's how many cups are up.
That's
on
how many
the
cups there are. Yeah, we've solved the riddle,
the
dude.
Entire movie laid out in order. By the way, the real Holy Grail, the actual one, it's the frame where they're pouring the blood in his mouth.
Did you know in Latin, Temple of Doom begins with an iron? Did you know that?
Oh.
Just thought you should know that. This series has just turned into everyone take every opportunity they can to talk about how shitty Temple of Doom is. Because we spent like half this episode, we'll go like 2 or 3 points like, man, this movie's awesome. You know what's not awesome? Temple of Doom.
Well, this may not be technically, because of chronology, a sequel to Temple of Doom, but it is a follow-up, right? Because it came after Temple of Doom. I think it's natural to compare.
But also like if it takes place in a year after Temple of Doom, it's a fucking sequel. Like they're not like Black Mirror episodes, like they're not anthologies. It's the same shit, and they fucked up by making Temple of Doom a prequel. I stand by that point. So I think they honestly probably wanted. Okay, this is just a side point that I noticed. So this movie is dated in 38.
Yes.
I think they probably, because of the idea we talked about, how like Indy being older, I bet they wanted to extend this further out from like Raiders and in Temple of Doom. But I think they also just obviously wanted to keep the Nazi angle, so I think they were constricted by World War II.
Right.
So I think if Raiders had happened earlier, then this would have probably been taking place like 10 to 15 years after Raiders instead of 2. So I think they just ended up kind of getting fucked over by their own year structure accidentally in the long run, but it doesn't fucking matter.
Doesn't fucking matter. Still amazing.
I love that the Nazis are back. Dude, when Hitler signs the fucking journal.
Ever been uttered in history.
Do what?
The only time that has ever been uttered in history. I love that the Nazis are back.
Those old kooks, I love them. Dude, when Hitler signs the journal, dude,
I stop breathing every time, even though I know what's gonna happen. Yeah, especially since their Hitler doppelganger, I'm pretty sure was just Hitler himself. Because Oh my god, dude! Every photo.
That man looks positively genocidal, man. He looks serious.
Every photo, every film reel I have ever seen of Hitler in my life, that is him in the flesh, and it's fucking eerie.
Yeah,
Erie, Indiana. Oh. Anyway,
I love that scene so much that that journal, because Henry's just thumbing through the journal later.
Yep. What the fuck?
And just, what the fuck is this?
What the fuck, Junior?
Junior. I love the pathos of when he to snap Indy out of the
Indiana.
When he just finally agrees to call him Indiana and he snaps him out of wanting to reach for the grill. It's such a cool moment. And the way he says it.
Yes.
It just melts your heart, dude, because you're just like, because there's, again, 1,000 words said in one, just based on delivery and the music and everything, because and the performance, because in that one word, he's talks about all those things, like when he is looking over the cliff and he's like, it only would have taken 5 minutes. He's able to say everything he ever wanted to say in 5 seconds.
Yeah,
just by the way that he says Indiana. I love it. It's so good.
So, can we talk about the fact that we have 4 chase sequences in this movie and they're all fucking amazing?
I think we have 14 chase sequences in this movie. And I'm 1,000% okay with that. But what would you classify as the...
How many boat sequences do you get in movies?
They even comment on it. He's like, oh, great, another boat. I love how fucking self-aware this movie is, dude.
So then we go from that to... What was next? The motorcycles was next? Let's see. We started out with... I know we had boats... Oh, we have boats, planes.
We also have the prequel, the intro, like with him as a kid. You consider that there's train
5.
chase
so
essentially.
We go from horse to train, right? Then later, when we have adult Indy, we're going boats to airplanes to motorcycle
Tanks.
to horseback again.
With also camels.
With a tank. Yeah.
The kid that I love the bit with Sala.
Camels. That's 5 camels.
Do you know what it count? He's like, it's compensation for my brother-in-law's car.
It belonged to my brother-in-law.
I love Sala, dude. Well, we didn't talk about the Sala scene where
run.
He's trying his damnedest to be like all improvisational and badass like Indy. He's just like, he tells Brody fucking 12 times to run and he doesn't get it because Brody is an idiot.
So he punches the guy through the paper.
Yeah.
Sala does not look like someone you want to tangle with, dude. He knocked that guy flat on his ass with that chump shot.
Yeah, Gimli ain't fucking around, dude. Gimli will light you up.
Damn it, Treebeard. I had no idea.
When he thinks he's gotten fucking Brody out and the trailer,
Nazis, the tropical Nazis.
The tropical,
Nothing's worse than a tropical Nazi. They're just all in Speedos with rifles. It's the fucking worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, dude. Everything about this movie is
the best.
Gold.
It's the best.
Solid gold is the cup of the King of Kings.
God damn right.
Oh my god. I can't think of enough things to say about this. I don't really have a negative to it. I know you had the effects.
I have a few negatives on it, but none of them matter because it doesn't matter. Like some of the CGI is a little shoddy at times. I don't like the effect on the reverse aging thing because it reminds me too much of Beetlejuice. But I none of it matters because the core of the movie is the tone and the relationship between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, and they're just so fucking wonderful together.
I do have to say, I never noticed that on the blimp, Sean Connery's holding the newspaper upside down.
Is he? I never noticed that.
This is the first time I ever noticed it. When he first picks it up as Indiana walks away, I was like, is that the headline at the bottom of the page? Because that's where all the big bold print is. And I was like, surely not. And then when it cuts to him with the staff, like push the cane pushing the top of the paper down, like it's clearly upside down. So, he probably thought they weren't going to use that take, and they did.
That's hilarious. I never noticed that.
Oh my god, dude, just every fucking joke in this movie. That's how we say goodbye in Austria. This is how we say goodbye in Germany. I prefer the Austrian way. I did too. Like, how'd you know she was a Nazi? She talks in her sleep.
That whole bit when
I'm as human as the next man. I was the next man, Dad.
The look on Sean Connery's face when Indy first puts two and two together.
Dude, the look on his face when she's telling Indy that their time together was wonderful, and he's like, "Oh yes, it was quite wonderful." Before you realize that she's talking to Indy. Dude,
every time we
yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when they're sitting on the blimp, he's like, "All right, fine, I'm here now. You want to talk? Let's talk." And that look he's giving Indiana was he's waiting for him impatiently to say something.
I think every time we drop in PUBG now, I'm going to have to say, my boy, we are pilgrims in an unholy land. I love that quote.
I literally told Christina, from now on in PUBG, I'm going to start using, that car belonged to my brother-in-law.
It's so good.
Oh, dude. Oh, I'm sorry. Not PUBG. PUBG Battlegrounds. Sorry.
Let's not ruin this otherwise mostly positive episode. So stupid.
It's not PUBG, it's PUBG Battlegrounds.
Oh god damn it, dude.
Oh dude.
I also another scene I have to talk about. It's one of my favorite fucking cuts in the history of cinema. He's got a 2-day head start on you, which is more than he needs. Brody's got friends in every town and village from here to the Sudan. He speaks a dozen languages, knows every local custom. He'll blend in, disappear, you'll never see him again. With any luck, he's got the grail already.
Does anyone here speak English?
I forgot about that. I died laughing, dude. I forgot because I haven't seen this movie in like probably 10 years.
Dude, when Sala finds him, he's literally pulling feathers off of his face and brushing them off of his clothes because of the chicken.
Oh, no thanks. I'm a vegetarian, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. God damn it.
Oh, dude. That's so good.
It's fucking wonderful. Yeah, seriously, just I'm just scrolling through. Just if you just look at the size of the quote section on IMDb for Last Crusade,
quotable.
It's like the whole fucking movie is able to be pieced together just based off of the fucking quotes alone on IMDb, dude. It's all quotable.
You can directly quote it, or you can just fucking indirectly quote it. You can quote it but change the tone of it and still get something out of these quotes. Like, they all fucking work.
Yeah, the script is just a fucking
it's so airtight
masterclass. It's just as like it's interesting. It's just as good as the script as Raiders. It's accomplishing like an entirely different agenda.
Yeah, it's got a different goal. Because
like Raiders is just trying to be like a perfect film, and this is trying to be a perfect like adventure film. That's also lighthearted at the same time. It's like a little bit of apples and oranges, but they each accomplish what they were setting out to do so well.
Dude, I hope this is in there. I missed this one. I hope this quote is in there. Street vendor, water? Marcus Brody, no thank you, sir. Fish make love in it.
Yeah. I loved that one too.
33 out of 33 found this interesting.
I fucking love the scene where Sean Connery is just like, you think my son would bring the diary here? He's like, and then Harrison Ford, they're showing us like his sheepish look on his face. He says, "Oh, you didn't. Oh God, you did, son."
Oh, well, this is embarrassing. I'm like a bad penny. I always turn up.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means, and I love it.
I could geek out. Dude, just reading the quotes.
I love when he finds the painting of the Ark of the Covenant. And he's just like, ugh. And she's like, "What's this? Ark of the Covenant? Are you sure? Pretty sure." Fall back.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, we could talk quote by quote and just how awesome they are, but I think I've kind of covered everything. I taken just very brief notes, just as far as like little talking points, but nothing like nothing specific that I think we've missed. Everything else that you wanted to touch on?
I don't really think so. I think we've pretty much accomplished everything that I had. I can't think of anything.
One other thing, I alluded to it a few times in the episode, but I think this is my favorite use of John Williams' score. One of my favorite musical bits in the entire movie, and probably the entire franchise, is after Indy has survived the fall off the cliff, when his hat tumbles back.
Yes.
And it's the Indiana Jones theme, but played like a piccolo.
Yeah.
Or some type of flute. And it's just very subtle as it just kind of floats into frame. Love that little bit of music.
Obviously, when I think of Indiana Jones score, I think of the big swelling bum ba dum bum bum ba da. But the version of that I always think of is Last Crusade, because there is something about that last lingering shot of the fucking knight as he just raises his hand up, and that the music kind of calms down into they use it every time they talk about the Holy Grail. It's a portion of the theme that plays, and I don't know, there's something about that shot with that music as everything is falling apart. This dude isn't even concerned, other than the look on his face that says, "Bitch, I told you 5 minutes ago, do not take it past the seal." But he's holding up his hand like basically as like a final goodbye, like he's ready to rest. He's not even like trying to save himself or anything, as everything just falls apart around him, and then you just have the beautiful score playing in over it as they just stare back at him.
I really don't think he'd be able to save himself either, because isn't the idea that once the Grail crosses the seal, the magic would kind of fade? Because otherwise, if not, Indiana Jones would be immortal, because Indiana Jones drinks from it before he gives it to Henry.
I've never been really clear on how it works, because to me, once you have found the Grail and you know where it is, I'm fine leaving it there. I'll just come back and revisit it whenever I need to.
It seems to me, like the way I kind of take it, and the way that they kind of would have to enforce it, otherwise Indiana Jones is fucking immortal now because he drank from it. Like, it seems to me like you have to stay there, and the Grail can't cross the seal. Because wasn't that kind of like what they were talking about? How
because he has that line.
He says he has the price of that's the price of immortality, right?
Yeah.
So like the only thing that would make any sense to me is that once she crosses the seal, it no longer would work.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think they're intentionally kind of hazy on it. Otherwise, they'd have to.
If you think about it too hard, it could fall apart.
Yeah, if you think about it too hard, it could fall apart. And also, you have to be very careful, because otherwise, Indiana Jones is freaking immortal.
Yeah.
Which kind of weird. But they probably could have used one more line of dialogue, I think, to kind of like clear it up a tiny bit more. But it's fine. It doesn't really matter.
I think the quote that sums up you and me playing PUBG is, "Are you crazy? Don't go between them. Go between them. Are you crazy?"
The boat chase in Venice is really cool.
Yeah.
And also just like kudos to the musical score as well, because there's so many action sequences and so many chase sequences just where they really have to ramp up the music that it could get kind of old if it's just constantly blaring. So I think they kind of strike like a good balance of just mixing it up just enough, and where it's not like a constant thing, like you want it to pop when it happens,
I like that music that plays anytime anything to do with the Nazis is on screen. Like, this movie is the reason why anytime I see a movie with Nazis in it, I hear that in the back of my mind.
Right.
Yeah, everything about this movie, Jeff. I just want to go watch it again, like right now.
It's super fun. One of the best paced movies I think ever. It's a blast. It always
it's just over 2 hours, and it feels like 20 minutes to me.
Yeah, it's always over in a blast.
Oh,
the jokes are so good.
One thing that I love about this movie also, you love the portrayal of a stomach wound. Well, I love they had a valid reason for not killing the Jones boys when they were tied up in the thing. They were missing pages from the diary. You got the two most leading, foremost experts on the Grail tied up. The third one fucking works for you. So if you don't find Marcus and find the pages, you need them alive. And then, as soon as they got word, as he's getting in the car to leave, that they found Brody, the Fuhrer had given personal orders had personally given the order to kill them, and then he has the line, "Well, Germany just declared war on the Jones boys," but like normally it's like, I don't want to just shoot you. I'm going to strap you to a table and have a laser slowly cut you in half or something stupid, right? But they had to leave him alive because they were missing the fucking map and everything else from the diary. And the only person that could piece things back together is going to be Henry. And he's not going to do it if you kill his son.
Yeah. It's really good plot hole coverage, the same way that you end up having not a good reason but a logical reason behind them keeping Marion and Indy alive in Raiders is that Belloc just wants to rub it in his face and just beat
pure
him, you know?
ego.
His
that
whole
is stereotypical comic book villain, right?
His whole thing, but it's not a cliche just because it is a common character motivation. But
he
it also
Indy
influences
to see that he is definitively lost.
It influences like every interaction they have in the entire movie. It's not just an ego thing out of nowhere towards the end where he has ample opportunity. Like his whole thing is about there's nothing Indy can find that he cannot take away.
Right.
Like it's this whole thing. He loves fucking over in Indy just left and right and screwing him over on all of these precious artifacts and stuff that he finds. And that's his whole thing is he just loves being an asshole to him, you know?
Yeah.
So very, very, very good use of filling in plot holes, which would otherwise, you know, be like, it wouldn't ruin the movie, but it's nice to see them go out of their way to kind of build in little, you know, reasonings that make sense.
Right? It adds quality. It adds a little bit of polish.
Yep. So you want to talk quality, Ron, next week. Crystal Skull, baby. I am fascinated to see what my reaction is going to be to this movie.
Actually, I'm fascinated.
But I'm going to be honest. I'm 98% sure I'm going to like it more than Temple of Doom. I can say that much.
Yeah, I don't know. I have not seen this since it was probably opening weekend in theaters.
I think I probably might. Wait, I'm thinking now. Because my brother is even more obsessed with Indiana Jones than like you and me are. I could see a situation where I might have like watched it on DVD or something with him, just because he watched them a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been at least, when that movie came out, like 2008 or something like that. It's probably been at least 10 years since I've seen it, if not more, you know, just the fucking year that it came out. So it'll be interesting. I think next week's gonna be an interesting episode.
How did I end up editing Doom and Crystal Skull, by the way? I see what you did, Geoff.
I have chosen.
You are Belloc.
Wisely.
You are the Belloc of this podcast.
There is nothing you can record which I cannot take away. Oh man, yeah. I can sit another two. I can sit here another 2 hours on this movie, just going one by one down the quote section and just talking about all the lines that I love because man, it's fun, dude. Like just all of the interactions between all the characters. All the characters have something to do. Like all the characters kind of have their moments to shine. It's really cool.
Yeah, they're
you know, even our boys, you know, Brody and Sala end up getting to help out a little bit. It's pretty cool. So yeah,
this is intolerable.
I could see, you know, we were always asking for iTunes reviews. I could see Bobby giving us like a 1 star. It's like, this is intolerable.
Speaking of, should we acknowledge the one email we've received before we go out?
Should we?
The first email that we have received from a listener.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
I'll leave you.
Tell everyone.
I'll leave you the honor. Why don't you describe it?
Oh, okay. Our buddy Bobby at yahoo.com. Our buddy Bobby at yahoo.com emailed in a little email. Subject line: Temple of Doom. So I'm like, oh, okay. Bobby emailed in to give his, you know, take on it so we can talk about it on the show, or, you know, just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he, you know, like wanted to, you know, tell us we were being a little bit too hard on it in case he liked it, or, you know, maybe that we weren't hard enough on it because it is. Maybe it's his favorite and he has no taste. You know, who knows? Who knows? What I pull up on my phone? What I pull up on
Geoff
my phone?
has declared war on the Bobby boys.
No, I have declared war on every single person out there that says Temple of Doom is their favorite Indiana Jones movie, because those people cannot and should not be trusted. Okay,
The one and only time a person's opinion can be wrong.
Yeah, you know, all the Germans in Last Crusade, you know what they're rounding up in piles and burning? It is not books. It is VHS copies of the Temple of Doom. Oh God.
Man.
So our buddy Bobby emailed in, "It's fried chicken day, GIF." And I'm sure you've seen that, you know.
I don't even.
Just Google "It's fried chicken day" GIF. That's
how does this apply to Temple of Doom?
Bobby, I'm gonna need you to, in a second email and second GIF, explain the fried chicken GIF. And then every week we're eventually gonna puzzle this together.
I want him to only use GIFs. I want him to describe
every week
his feelings on every movie that we talk about only with a single GIF every time.
Hey, Ron, did you know in Latin fried chicken begins with an I? Did you know that?
I don't even know. What am I looking at? Is this chicken cooked or not? Like, it's... like...
I don't know. I'm glad he's taking care of himself. You know, he's got that
the sun lotion there.
Yeah. You know, he's got those. This fried chicken is more photogenic than I am, so I can give him that.
He's pretty cool dude. He's too cool for school.
Yeah, he's pretty chill. He knows Temple of Doom's shit. He's a good guy. He has good taste.
Did he get lowered into the volcano? Is this Willie after she got pulled out of the volcano? Is that?
Yeah, I fucking wish. If Willie if Mel Brooks ever did a Temple of Doom, she would come back a giant fried chicken, like on the fucking rotisserie, dude,
with the little white things on the feet.
Yeah. God damn, why don't we have him? If Temple of Doom had happened just so Mel Brooks could parody it, it would have been worth it. Fuck, I want that movie now.
Oh my God,
man. I my brain is just rolling through all of the gags that he would do with that movie, and I need it. So I think that's gonna be. I think we had to pretty much cover everything. So
Screenplay Rewind, like to follow us, email.com.
Yeah. So if you would like to also email us in random gifts, they require follow-up GIF explanations, you can do so. Screenplayrewind@gmail.com. No, but for real though, we would like some more emails. If you ever have any prompts that you'd like us to talk about, we would love to have a few minute segment, you know, where we just kind of answer responses to previous movies we've covered. Maybe if you have any ideas of what you'd like to see us cover in future episodes, anything at all, we'd love to have some interaction with people that listen. So always,
we know you're out there. We see the stats. Someone's listening. Not a lot, but someone's listening.
So you can always, if you don't want to email us, you can also tweet at us. It's at SPR Filmcast, because Screenplay Rewind is 16 characters. Never forget.
God damn it, Twitter.
Ratings and reviews on iTunes or whichever service that you are listening to us on always helps. And Ron, where can people find you on the interwebs when you are not talking about fried chicken day gifts?
I am Ron Sense TV on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch.
I am G Miller SPR, and I think I need to make this fried chicken my Twitter icon now. I think I might do that, because it's a pretty fucking baller chicken, dude. Like, I mean, look at that. That's a wholesome chicken right there.
We need to form a PUBG team, and this chicken needs to be our logo, our icon.
Yes. Yeah.
Because by the way, we are usually getting roasted in PUBG.
Did you notice I renamed the PUBG channel in the other Discord the Pub Geriatrics? I'm kind of happy with that name.
I saw that. That was good.
Pub Geriatrics with this
from the
chicken.
Wrong cup.
Yes, we have chosen poorly. Yeah. This has been fun. Man, it's crazy. We're almost done with the Indiana Jones series, dude. That's crazy.
I know.
But we got one more on the horizon. Unless fucking Harrison Ford injured himself or fucking crashed a plane on the set. I don't know. There's no telling with that man.
I don't know.
No.
Didn't he? I know he crashed a plane at least twice, but wasn't the most recent one because he was high while flying also?
Harrison Ford is a notorious stoner. So I think Harrison Ford is just always high. So, yeah.
I'm just
Toss me the weed, I throw you the whip.
I'm just imagining like hanging out with Harrison Ford. That must be like, you know.
What, did you see that video that was going around where I think it was like David Blaine or some famous magician did the magic trick and he was just like, get the fuck out of my house.
No.
It was the most Harrison Ford thing ever. I'm gonna try to find that. And I'll put it on Twitter if I can find it. But you need to watch it.
I love how the internet lost their collective shit when he was on. I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, and revealed that he doesn't know jack shit about Star Wars or understand anything.
Right.
And he's like the most beloved character in Star Wars of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really fun, but it's also like
But here's the thing.
Harrison Ford.
Here's the secret about acting. He doesn't need to know it or understand it. You know?
Blasphemy. Blasphemy. They must know the ins and outs of all of Wikipedia to be in the Star Wars movie.
Oh, my sweet Jesus.
I wish I could take credit for that, but that's literally the wiki for Star Wars, by the way, is Wikipedia.
I know it is. I forgot.
A plus fucking pun work right there. I can respect a good
unintentional punster.
Yeah.
Cracks again.
But yeah, this outro has been like 5 hours long. So, bye.
Literally ended with me just going,
Put that on the Temple of Doom poster. Ron Huddleston, 2021.
That's gonna be someone's iTunes rating of our podcast. One and a half just for the fuck of it. And then
Toss me the idol, I'll toss you the mediocre podcast. 1.5 stars.